Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows. Hello there, Andrew.
Hello. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. I've switched over to nights at work, so I've pretty much just completely flipped my sleeping schedule. So I slept until about 4:30 today, and let's just say I feel well rested and I'm ready to go for this episode.
Very nice, man. Very nice. I've been working late, and yeah. So once again, I'm pretty wore out, but I ran over my foot today, so my foot hurts. But aside from that, I'm doing all right. I'm mentally cognizant, so that's good.
That is good. I mean, you shouldn't run over your feet or anything. That's not a good thing, but
yeah, well, you know,
it's in the past now. Nothing you can do about it other than
suffer.
Yeah, that's just it. This week we're talking Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow, huh?
Yeah, you saw it, right?
I did see Red Sparrow. Yes.
The way you said that, I was just like, wait, hold on. We can't talk about a movie we haven't both seen.
I think I saw Red Sparrow.
It's the one with Jennifer Lawrence in it. We're gonna get into it, and it's gonna be lots of fun. You got a fun fact lined up for us this week?
You know what? My fun fact for this week is I heard that someone else might have a fun fact. I heard that Colton Brown might have a fun fact.
Oh.
So what do you have for a fun fact? Share.
Well, just a brief backstory to this fun fact. I switched our plan through our podcast hosting service to the next level up, which gives us access to advanced statistics that it shows us.
Oh.
And the reason I'm doing that, or the reason I did that is in the past now, the reason I did that is because pretty soon we're going to be putting up our first bonus episode as a regular episode, which means that it's going to be eating up more space than usual, so I needed more storage space basically for everything. So that's the real reason I did it. The bonus that I got out of it is the advanced statistics, which interestingly enough shows us downloads per country for all of our episodes that we've put up. So most of them are from the United States. That's not really shocking, but we've got quite a few countries. It's certainly more countries than I would have ever expected to have some downloads. I don't know if it's a case of VPNs or maybe something. I don't know, but
right.
Got downloads in Mexico, Canada, Indonesia, France, Italy, United Kingdom, Spain, Turkey, Ukraine, Australia, Japan. I mean, it's all over the map.
Holy shit, man!
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're international. We're international people.
I don't know. I mean, I can't really tell if those are true downloads from those countries. I mean, I think it would be cool if it was. So, if you are listening to us from abroad, awesome. Thank you. Like that's cool. Like I said, I mean, they're pretty small numbers. I said most of the numbers are very U.S. centric, but still, I was kind of really impressed by that. So that's my fun fact for the week.
That's a pretty good fun fact.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Let's do some news. Starting with Chris Hemsworth. He is set to headline a Men in Black spinoff for Sony.
Ooh.
So I didn't realize this was happening. I guess it's been ongoing for a little while. I knew for the longest time Sony was thinking that they were going to combine the Men in Black and 21 Jump Street franchises, which I thought would have been fucking amazing, but apparently they're not going to do that. I think it was a logistical nightmare to make happen for a few reasons. So that's not happening. Instead, I guess they're going forward with this spinoff, which, as far as I know, is basically just another Men in Black, just minus Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. So F. Gary Gray, who has recently directed Straight Outta Compton and The Fate of the Furious, I think that's the 8th one in the series. He's on board to direct this, and like I said, Chris Hemsworth is in talks to star as one of the leads in it, which I'm down for. I mean, it sounds like a pretty fun smash up here. I would enjoy that. So yeah, this sounds pretty interesting. I would like to see what they do with Men in Black. I guess it's been a few years since Men in Black 3 came out. Yeah.
I always enjoyed those. I can't remember if they're good or not, but I always enjoyed them.
I think that there was a quality drop-off, certainly from 1 to 2. I think 3 went slightly back up. I don't think they've topped the first one by any stretch of the imagination, but the nice thing about something like this is it's a franchise that I'm not overly connected to, but I'm interested in enough that it, I don't groan when I realize, oh, they're making another one. Gee, but it's one of those things. I'm like, I'm curious to see how this one shapes up. I mean, it could be shit. Who knows? But
right.
I think something that's not going to be shit is Quentin Tarantino's next project, which we have quite a few more details on. So it has officially received the title Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right.
And it has been confirmed that Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt will star as the leads in it, which that's good pairing right there. Tarantino describes the film as a story that takes place in Los Angeles in 1969 at the height of hippie Hollywood. The two lead characters are Rick Dalton, played by DiCaprio, a former star of a Western television series, and his longtime stunt double, Cliff Booth, portrayed by Pitt. Both are struggling to make it in a Hollywood they don't recognize anymore, but Rick has a very famous next-door neighbor, Sharon Tate.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, this I think could get pretty crazy, pretty fast. Certainly, the cast is great. I guess last year there was a news article that says that Margot Robbie was in talks to play Sharon Tate. I don't think she's been confirmed for it at this point, but I think that would definitely be great casting if that definitely comes to pass. But this project sounds, I don't know. Dope. I mean, it's Tarantino kind of playing around with a semi-fictional setting, obviously by setting it around presumably the Sharon Tate murder. Like, that's pretty heavy territory for him to kind of steer into, but I mean, he steered into fucking Nazi Germany and we came away with an amazing movie. So
yeah,
certainly he can, if anyone has the chops to kind of play around with something that could be very precarious very easily, I think that Tarantino can really strike that balance of being respectful while also just having a fucking blast in doing it, So I'm really looking forward to this one. I mean, that's a hell of a cast, especially, like I said, if Margot Robbie ends up joining the cast. I think, man, that would be really fucking good. So, looking forward.
Very
to that.
excited about that. Yeah. When's that?
Yeah.
Is there any sort of timeline on that?
Yes, there is, actually. Very good question. August 9th, 2019 is its official release date.
Right on, man.
Kristen Wiig is in talks to play the villain in Wonder Woman 2. She would be playing Cheetah, who is a big cheetah woman.
A big cheetah woman?
Oh, she's just a regular sized cheetah woman, but I mean, she hasn't signed on the dotted line or anything like that. But I guess Patty Jenkins has been talking to her for a little while, and sounds like things are moving in the direction that she may be the one to play the role in the final movie. So I think
cool.
It's an interesting casting, certainly. I mean, Kristen Wiig, I think, is pretty typically recognized for her comedy chops, and I don't really think that's what they're looking for here. But then I'm like, well, we saw Mother last year, and she wasn't exactly playing a comedic character in there, let's say that.
No.
So, no, I think this could be pretty fun. And sometimes casting against type actually works out really well, so I would definitely be good with this. She's definitely got great chops, and I think it's Cheetah, I think, is probably one of the most recognizable Wonder Woman villains in the comics. So I think that it's a pretty good choice as far as who you should have as a villain, and it's not a big, giant smoke monster. So that is also cool.
Well, you also don't know how they're going to portray the villain either.
This is true. That's true.
But faith in Patty Jenkins, I suppose, right?
Exactly. She's the only one we have faith in over there. So until it's proven otherwise, we've got to put our faith in her. So yeah. We got a couple big release date changes that happened. Avengers: Infinity War has been announced that it's going to be coming out 1 week earlier internationally, of course, including the United States. So April 27th is now its new opening date here in America.
It's coming.
It's pretty awesome. I'm glad because for a while Marvel Studios has been kind of doing this staggered release schedule where a lot of the overseas territories will get it a week prior to like America. And I'm jealous, so that's kind of shitty. But moreover, it's just one of those things where I'm like, well, fuck, I've got to dance around spoilers on the internet for a whole week. I think the whole idea behind this is to avoid that. This is going to be one of the biggest movies probably ever released. So it kind of makes sense that you want to contain that and bottle that as much as you can until, boom, April 27th. Basically, everyone sees it at the same time, and it, hopefully sets the world on fire. I think it will, certainly box office wise. My hope is that the quality will also be up to snuff, certainly to the standard that Black Panther very recently set. So that's a pretty big fucking move. But it's had some repercussions. Rampage Rampage was set to come out 1 week earlier, April 20th, and they basically kind of were quaking in their boots, and they're like, nah, fuck that. So they've moved up a week as well. So now Rampage has moved to April 13th to give it kind of a 2-week cushion before Avengers just completely stomps the shit out of it. Smart move. I mean, definitely a pretty business-savvy move to do that. But the other byproduct of that is that Ready Player One, which comes out on March 30th, now has 1 week less of, has 1 week less to basically reign at the box office, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Assuming that it does well at all, which we'll see. I don't know. I honestly don't know how it's going to do. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive the reverberations that happen when Marvel,
when Marvel moves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
When Marvel moves, you fucking move. That's what the moral of the story is.
It 100% makes sense to react to what they've done. Like, I don't disagree with any moves that have been made here, but it is funny. I did also want to say, last time I don't remember what it was. I think it was actually the last time I saw Black Panther. I did a George count for the Rampage trailer.
Oh, you did?
Well, I don't remember. It's been a while since I don't remember the exact count, but I was trying to do a George count because you're like, what the fuck is he always saying? Like, how many times is this dude going to say George in a single trailer? I'm pretty sure it's at least 7 or 8 times, which for a approximately 2-minute trailer, I mean, that is a lot. If we can extrapolate the data from that and apply that to a 2-hour movie, I mean, we're talking a lot of George. That's a lot of fucking George to go around. Let's just put it that way.
Wait, it's 2. It was 7. It was 7 Georges.
Yeah, let's say 7 Georges. So
let's just calculate this real quick. Hold on a second. Let me grab my phone.
Should be 7 times 60, right? So is that 420 Georges?
420 Georges.
On average, we should be expecting 420 George mentions in the movie.
That's what? That's 3 a minute. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, like 3.5 a minute if we use 7.
Oh fuck! Oh shit!
I myself am looking forward to the George supercut on YouTube. When
George. I got a buddy. His name's George. He's gorilla. His name's George. George. Holy shit!
George, you're looking a little bigger, George.
I don't know why that's so fucking funny. I'm sorry.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Moving on.
Netflix got another big movie project lined up called Past Midnight, which is about a new kind of vigilante superhero. And Keanu Reeves is in talks to star as the lead in it. It's going to be directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who was attached to the Flash movie for a while, eventually dropped from it, but he did direct Dope a few years back, which is a really good movie. And it's going to be produced by Anthony and Joe Russo, who you might recognize as the directors of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, and the forthcoming Avengers: Infinity War and Untitled Avengers sequel. So, pretty cool. There's not really a whole lot of plot details, actually, other than we know that it's going to be a vigilante superhero. I mean, it does say quote-unquote superhero, so certainly Keanu Reeves has experience playing a vigilante very recently in the John Wick movies, but
right on,
I guess
man.
It's more of a hitman, but vigilante-esque, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a pretty good combo. Looking forward to that. We got another look at the Shazam costume from the front this time. Did you see that?
I did. It's very Jingle All the Way. I'm excited for it.
It's very unabashedly comic booky, which in some ways I kind of enjoy.
I'm super eager. It totally looks like it has a completely different feel than the rest of the shit they've put out. So,
it's to me it's less Jingle All the Way in the sense that when we saw it before, we really just couldn't get a full idea of what it's going to look like. We saw the colors, and I'm just like, oh, wow, that is vibrant. But now that we kind of see an actual look of it, I mean, it does look, like I said, it doesn't appear to be falling into the same DC bullshit of let's just mute everything so we can't even tell that it's supposed to be red. I mean, it's very red. So yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to this one. It definitely seems like they're going for a pretty stark contrast, tonally speaking, against what we've seen. That's been, I mean, this is supposed to be part of the universe as far as I'm aware. So I'm curious to see kind of how it folds in with the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's kind of one of those things where, first Iron Man was pretty gritty, relatively realistic and grounded, and then you look at where the fucking universe is now, it's pretty different. So maybe that's that kind of their way of maybe expanding the universe a bit. But I don't know. I mean, hopefully it's good. I mean, that's where it really starts and ends for me, is just make a fucking good movie. Doesn't matter if it's super serious or super gritty or completely campy and completely over the top. Just make a good fucking movie. So, well,
it's inviting to see a change. You know what I mean?
Right.
So maybe things are changing over there. But I guess we'll see. It's been a sinking ship for quite some time. So
it's nowhere to go but up, right?
That's it.
Hopefully. We got a couple trailers from Disney, first of which is Mary Poppins Returns with Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins. What'd you think about this one?
Full disclosure, I never saw the original Mary Poppins.
Wow, you weren't born in 1960 something, whenever that came out? 64, I want to guess?
I know, but I saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and shit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the movie in its entirety, and I haven't watched it again in my adult life, I guess. Let me put it that way. So I'm kind of in the same boat where I only have really passing familiarity with the movie itself. I'm familiar with the character just because it's a character that, is pretty omnipresent, I think, throughout film.
Yeah.
But that said, though, I thought this trailer looked pretty awesome. Interesting. Yeah. No, yeah. I thought the way it shot, just the whole structure of it. I mean, it felt like a really good teaser. While giving you enough to not just, it's the antithesis to the Venom trailer of that movie had a lot of footage, or that trailer rather had a lot of footage in it, but it told you nothing about the movie. This one, to me, had a decent amount of footage, and you got a pretty good feel for the visual style of it. And no, it's like, okay, I'm fucking on board for this, even as someone that maybe isn't completely familiar with the movie. I will certainly be keen to revisit, the original Mary Poppins before this happens.
And I think I don't know Mary Poppins, but she strikes me as a Mary Poppin-esque. She's got that look and feel, especially that little bit in the mirror in there. I don't know. I think she looks great for the part.
Yeah, no, I mean, we know Emily Blunt's great, so that shouldn't come across as any surprise. Lin-Manuel Miranda involved in this. I know all the Hamilton fans will be pretty stoked about that. And I read on the internet. The internet told me that
I read on internet.
The internet told me this is the longest gap between live-action film sequels in history at 54 years.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool.
That's a fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun fact. The second trailer that we got is for Disney's Christopher Robin.
Dude. I think Christopher Robin. I think this one's going to hit me in the feels hard.
Yeah, I think it's going to tug on the heartstrings a bit.
I watched a lot of Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid.
Yeah, so did I.
I like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I really like Winnie the Pooh.
And when you hear Pooh's voice, I'm like, oh man. Instantly, I just kind of, I don't know. I really just like Winnie the Pooh. He's such a
turn into a kid again.
Yeah, man. Oh, fucking Winnie the Pooh.
I'm 100% with you there. Yeah. It definitely preyed on my my childhood a bit, but it fucking hit me right in that nostalgic sweet spot. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it could be pretty fun.
He says you got cracks, no, just maybe little wrinkles or whatever fucking Pooh Bear says. I'm like, oh man, that's just like all of us. We're older now. Now we're watching Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
yeah, a good cast too. Ewan McGregor, Haley Atwell. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Last but not least for film, I wanted to talk about the Oscars, which happened this past Sunday, March 4th. I don't think there was any big surprises. Well, I guess before I get too ahead of myself, did you watch this?
I did not watch that. I was
Okay.
busy watching. I was watching anime movies.
We'll talk about it later, won't we?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
No. I was actually really happy with kind of really most of the picks here. I mean, I didn't think there was any major upsets or anything like that, but certainly some very worthy contenders that got recognition. I mean, Jordan Peele winning regional screenplay for Get Out. Awesome.
That's deserving.
Fucking Roger Deakins finally getting his due, and his 14th nomination for cinematography finally winning for Blade Runner 2049. Like, that is amazing. That's incredible.
I wish I had my picks. I'd like to compare my picks to what actually won Oscars.
I think some of us were actually pretty on the money with a lot of them, and some of them were
not.
Not all, yeah. I mean, but I think
Right.
like Blade Runner won visual effects. I know you had that as your pick. I had Planet of the Apes as my pick, which I still stand by. But I think Blade Runner was certainly a very worthy contender in that category. Dunkirk,
Right.
interestingly, won the sound picks, which we were given that shit during our episode. I don't agree with that for the sound editing and mixing personally. Certainly sound mixing to me seems silly because.
Right,
Again,
just because
I have my issues with Nolan mixing dialogue in the sense that he likes to drown it out with everything else, which to me that seems like the opposite of what mixing should be about. But as someone with very cursory knowledge of exactly what goes into that, I'm sure there's a reason that it won. But no, I mean, other than that, Guillermo del Toro won Best Director. I mean, holy shit, right?
That's awesome. Good
Which
for him, man.
Someone, again, I read this on the internet. The internet told me so many things this week. There's a trio of directors that they have been collectively referred to as the Three Amigos, and they have now won 4 out of the past 5 Best Director Oscars. So Alfonso Cuarón won a few years back for Gravity.
Right.
And Iñárritu won for, I think, Birdman and the Revenant.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. I mean, they're all from Mexico. Like that's some pretty crazy representation there, and that's badass.
It is awesome.
Speaking of Mexico, Coco won Best Animated Feature, well deserved.
Yeah.
Not surprising, but well deserved nonetheless. And then the acting awards, Allison Janney won for I, Tonya. I think I might have said on our episode that I thought she was going to win, but she wasn't my personal pick. But again, I think definitely very worthy. Sam Rockwell winning for Best Supporting Actor. I think
that's awesome. That's deserving.
Yeah, I think very, very deserving. Frances McDormand, Best Actress for 3 Billboards, and Gary Oldman for The Darkest Hour for Best Actor. So I don't really see any big travesties here. I think that a lot of good films got good recognition. I mean, it sucks that something like Lady Bird got basically shut out of every nomination that it had, but at the same time.
There's a lot of good movies, though.
I can't disagree with what it lost to. I'm like, no. I mean, I think that's totally fair. I think that's totally fair. Where things won and where things lost. So, no, I think it was a. Oh shit! We didn't even talk about Best Picture. Wow, just brushed right past that. Fucking Shape of Water winning Best Picture. I mean,
oh, that's good.
That's insane to me. Like again, I think a really strong category for Best Picture this year, and to see something like The Shape of Water, to see Guillermo del Toro, man. Win big at the Oscars, like that is really, really amazing to see.
It is, man. It's I don't know. I think it says a lot about our I don't know. Just kind of says a lot about where these sort of awards are going. You know what I mean? Because I think 10 years ago, if you got A Shape of Water, it wouldn't even be recognized. I don't think. I might be wrong with that statement, but
I think Pan's Labyrinth got some pretty good recognition pretty much 10 years ago. But
Okay.
Not Best Picture recognition certainly. So I think you're not off base. No.
All right. Well, what do we got in television news, man?
Television news, we got some details on Westworld Season 2, so Entertainment Weekly. There's quite a few pictures that they have up there. I'm going to dance around most of them because I think that preserving a lot of the mystery, certainly if you haven't watched Season 1, I don't really want to get too in-depth. Basically, to kind of say what it shows kind of certainly the fallout of the events of Season 1. It shows returning characters, shows... they say certainly characters maybe that we didn't expect to come back. Well, they are back. So it's interesting. The one thing I will talk about is this is a Season 1 spoiler, but Only vaguely so. We know that at the end of season 1 we saw there was the samurai fighting when they were kind of going through the backlot or wherever it was.
Yeah.
We now know that world is now called officially Shogun World.
Shogun World. Oh my goodness.
Which is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And there was a viral marketing thing for like the Delos website. Delos is like the company that owns all of it. Apparently, Westworld is only one of 6 parks that they own. So Shogun World would now be the second one that we know about. So I don't know if we'll see more in season 2, or if that's just possibly a tease for things to come. Possibly maybe even beyond to season 2. But I don't know. I mean,
it's exciting.
Yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to Westworld Season 2. April 22nd is when it premieres, so that's going to be really fucking cool. I'm excited. I can't wait for that.
We don't have too long to wait.
Exactly. A Halo television series is in the works, and it is reportedly set to start filming this fall, and it's going to be produced by Steven Spielberg.
I feel like they've been talking about this for a long time.
Well, I think that a movie had been in the works for forever. I know Neil Blomkamp was attached for the longest time. Actually, this article here says Alex Garland was attached for a bit at some point too.
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro, Peter Jackson, D.B. Wise, all pretty big fucking names. But none of those ever happened for some reason. But apparently, this television series is happening, and it's going to be on Showtime. As the word on the street. So
you remember the first time you played Halo and you go down to their thing, and then when you first get the introduction to the Flood?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it was so good. The first Halo was so awesome. I don't I wonder where they're going to actually put this series at. I'm going to be interested to follow this because I think it could be something really good, or it could I don't know. I feel like the series got less interesting as time went on.
Well, I know that I haven't played, I think, 4 and 5, so I don't know where the story is at this point in time. I don't know if it went completely off the rails at some point, but I do agree with you. I mean, that first one definitely, that is another one that sits firmly within that nostalgia sweet spot. But I do legitimately think as well that you could really have a really, really good adaptation of that if it's done right. So,
right.
Stranger Things Season 3, a little bit of information on that. Maya Hawke is joining the cast as one of the leads. She's going to play an alternative girl bored with her mundane day job. She seeks excitement in her life and gets more than she bargained for when she uncovers a dark secret in Hawkins, Indiana.
All right.
She is the daughter of Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. And she looks exactly like her mother. It's quite uncanny. But they met on the set of Gattaca, which is a fantastic movie. So I thought that was another little fun fact that the internet told me about this week. So she's 19 years old. So my understanding, at least my guess, is that she would certainly kind of fall into the Jonathan and Nancy crowd, the Steve Harrington crowd, more than the younger casts.
Right.
But, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Maybe they're just hanging out with some older women. Who's to say? Additionally, we know that Priya Ferguson, who had a recurring role last year as Erica Lucas's sister, has... She was in there, but she's been upped to a recurring role in this next season coming up. So we should expect to see more of her. And
I enjoyed her a lot.
Yeah, she was fantastic. So I am thrilled with that news personally. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm sure we'll probably get it in 2019 sometime. So good ways away. But looking forward to it. Something I am not necessarily looking forward to, but some people might be, is the final season of House of Cards on Netflix. It's not that I don't. Well, it's not that it's.
We're not vested in it.
I'm just not invested. Exactly, I'm not invested in it. It's. I got off the House of Cards train pretty early on. This is obviously noteworthy because it's the first Kevin Spacey-less season. I guess the first and last Kevin Spacey-less season that we're going to be getting, and it's Robin Wright's show now. She's now the President Underwood from the looks of it. So
I'm interested to hear how they write him out.
I think that's probably kind of where I stand on it. Is I don't know that I'll ever go back in on this show, even regardless of how everything that happened with Kevin Spacey. It's just one that for me, there's just so many shows. I'm just not sure that it's one that I am ever really keen to revisit. But I do agree that certainly seeing how they handle the fallout of that is going to be very interesting to kind of, at least from the sideline, watch and see how it plays out. So yeah, Star Wars Rebels it's officially concluded. Have you watched the finale, or are you still a few episodes behind now?
No, I'm quite a few behind. I will be jumping on the. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the. I'm gonna buy all of them on the Blu-rays.
Okay.
And I'm gonna grind it out for the finale.
You do the whole thing?
Yeah, just do the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe I should do that too.
It's such a good show. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that they were able to send it. I haven't looked at reviews or anything else, but I'm gonna give it a little bit for that final season to come out. I'll pick up the series Blu-ray collection and I'll just do a grind on it. Shouldn't be too long because the seasons are pretty short and the episodes are short.
Right.
And I'll give it a farewell properly in a home theater setting and I'll enjoy it. But I haven't. Have you read a consensus on how it was sent off?
Yeah, I kind of just was, again, kind of casually paying attention to this. It seemed like it was a pretty satisfactory ending for most viewers. I guess it was a 90-minute finale they did, so pretty big send-off. I assume it's probably just a few episodes they stitched together.
Right.
But no, it seems like the general consensus is everyone's pretty happy with it, and they're looking forward to what Dave Filoni does next. So, I don't want to talk too specific about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point. You'll probably get to it before I do, even if you're watching the entire series. I still want to watch the entire series. I absolutely do. And, the reactions to this actually kind of make me want to watch it more. But I don't want to make more promises I can't keep. So
no, it's good stuff.
I will get around to it at some point. I just can't promise that it's going to be in the imminent future. But Black Mirror is getting another season.
I'm so excited.
Season 5 coming to Netflix. No release point on this just yet, but not really surprising. I wouldn't, this is definitely a very popular show. I think it's probably just more of an issue of, can Charlie Brooker come up with another, 6 ideas for episodes or however many they're planning on doing. So I know you were a pretty big fan of Black Mirror in general. From what I have seen, again, I'm still not up to date. I'm a very big fan of that, so I'm excited to hear that more is coming.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy at the car lot today about it, and I was like, listen, man, I mean, it's probably definitely got to be one of the best Netflix shows out there. I mean, it is super freaking good. Definitely one of my favorite, for sure. So I'll take another season, definitely.
Exactly. We're getting a season of Lost in Space on Netflix as well, and we have an official trailer for it now. A little bit more than just a Willy Wobby Win with his backpack.
I'm down on this shit, dude. Down hard on it.
It looks like they put some money into this shit, man.
Yeah, they did.
Honestly, a lot of it was very Mass Effect for me, and that is I'm like, okay. I mean, maybe they should have just made a Mass Effect TV show instead, but this looks really fucking cool. I'm a little worried about how Will Robinson centric it seems to be. I'm hoping that it falls more into the Stranger Things type thing of, wow, these kids are actually really good and enjoyable to watch, not this kid sucks at acting. Why is this show centered around him? And I have I don't want to say I have a sneaking suspicion, but that's kind of my fear with a show like this, is that it really kind of fumbles the ball with its casting. But I think that certainly visually speaking, this looks incredible. And I'm looking forward to this as a show. This trailer certainly did a lot more for me than the date announcement did.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. It's got it looks pretty neat. So I don't know. There's not a lot. I mean, there's 3 minutes to go on in a what would you call it, a date release trailer or something like that?
Yeah, it was a date announcement. That's what Netflix branded it as.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot there, but When's I didn't pay attention to the release date on this. When's this
April
coming out?
13th, all episodes.
Yeah, so we'll probably add that to the schedule, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely one that we're going to have to try to slot that in somewhere. We'll have to figure that out, but we'll get it in there somewhere. Moving on, we got some Marvel Netflix information. Well, updates, I guess. Joe Quesada.
Oh, okay.
Joe Quesadilla.
I almost messed up his name.
Definitely were going to say Joe Quesadilla, weren't you?
I was definitely going to say Joe Quesadilla.
Joe Quesada, the chief creative officer at Marvel, he posted some artwork that he had created for some of the Marvel shows. So we got a Daredevil one of him kind of leaping off a building with the big double Ds up on the building. Not those double Ds. Jessica Jones, we got season 2 artwork there, which looks kind of grungy, really cool looking. And then we got our favorite Danny Rand. Danny Rand got his own little poster too, which looks pretty badass.
Looks like he might know kung fu.
Yeah, I will say I'm hoping that Finn Jones actually. I mean, say this drawing of him, he looks pretty ripped in. So I'm hoping that maybe he did bulk up like this for season 2. But no, I think Joe Quesada's artwork is amazing, and for all I don't know if you have the Blu-rays of the Netflix shows that they've released. I think they've put out both seasons of Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and I think Luke Cage most recently. They always use the Joe Quesada artwork for the Blu-ray covers, and like he does really great artwork. So
right,
I think these look really nice. Notably absent was Luke Cage. Interesting that he didn't get one, given that he is certainly one of the Defenders along with the 3 of these. But we did get other Luke Cage information that season 2 is going to be coming June 22nd of this year. So they're pumping these things out. I mean, at that rate, Daredevil season 3 is got to be a lock for probably, I mean, I was going to say November based on this, but we might even get it sooner than that. I don't know. We'll see. But we got very, very small amount of footage with this Luke Cage season 2 date announcement. I mean, it looks like Luke Cage. I don't really know that it tells us anything more than we didn't already know about it, but I'm looking forward to it personally.
Oh yeah, man, of course. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, as I said again, not much to go off of other than I'm glad that it's coming pretty soon. And Jessica Jones season 2 is days away. I think it is literally days away at this point. I want to say March 9th. So possibly even by the time this goes up, it might be available. Well, depends on how long it takes me to edit this thing.
Right.
Last bit of news for the week: Legion season 2. We've got an official trailer for.
Man, I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Man, we can't use the same joke 2 weeks in a row.
Did we use that last week? Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it looks just as cool and crazy and everything as season 1. I'm just so excited. The teeth chattering. I don't know if that could pick up, but that shit was cool.
Yeah, I heard it.
I don't know. It's just so stylish and uncanny and crazy, and it's a very stylish show. I like it.
It looks completely fucking insane. Yeah. I mean, it looks just as insane as season 1 was, and maybe more so in some ways. I was already super stoked for this. This just reinforced my belief that this is the premier superhero television show.
But see, it's a superhero show. And I guess it's foolish for me to say that it stands.
Okay, let me rephrase that. It's the premier comic book television show. It's less superhero. It's more comic book in terms of its origins. Because even David Holland in the comics he's not a quote unquote superhero. I wouldn't say. So I think television series based on comics. This is where it's at. So that's kind of what I mean. I kind of. Equate superhero and comic books in my mind, which obviously isn't always the case, but that just for me, that's kind of what.
And I mean, it is. I guess. I mean, it is an X-Men thing, but
it's based on X-Men.
But I don't know. It just feels like in and of itself, it doesn't feel like Luke Cage. It doesn't feel like Daredevil. It feels.
Oh no, I agree.
It just feels like it's not necessarily I don't know. I don't know. It just feels different, and it's definitely a good experience. So watch season 1 in preparation for season 2 because that shit's coming down the barrel quick. I'm excited.
Yeah, I would actually really like to rewatch season 1. I might pick up the Blu-ray. I think it comes out relatively soon. So yeah, that's that would be the news for this week. You ready to talk some Red Sparrow?
Let's do it, my friend.
All right. Well, just to get our listeners up to speed on Red Sparrow, it's directed by Francis Lawrence, most recently known for directing The Hunger Games: Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. It is based on the 2013 novel of the same name, written by Jason Matthews. It stars J. Law, Jennifer Lawrence, and Joel Edgerton as its leads, and it is about the ballerina Dominika Igorova, who is recruited to Sparrow School, a Russian intelligence service where she's forced to use her body as a weapon.
Also known as Horror School.
Also known as Horror School. Yes, that is, yep, her first mission, targeting a CIA agent, threatens to unravel the security of both nations. Tell me about Red Sparrow, my friend. Tell me how you felt about it.
Man, this movie here it's a very long, drawn-out mess. It had some funny parts, and I don't know if they were intended to be funny or not. I don't know. But there were parts that made me laugh. But aside from that, I don't know, man. It's just a mess. It's a mess of a movie, and it's very fucking long. I kept like, I went on a date and watched it, and I kept like, I wasn't nodding off, but it's like, Jesus Christ, get the shit on, come on, let's you know, and it was, I don't know, it wasn't very good. I didn't care for it. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it other than I didn't enjoy watching it.
All right, that's fair. That is a very fair takeaway. One that I don't entirely disagree with. I think I probably in the moment enjoyed it more than you did, but I would say that my overall opinion is basically in line with that. To kind of add a little bit more maybe qualitative input on it. That. No, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. I think, from the top, the moose and squirrel, the accents in this, it's just a mistake. I'm not going to dwell on that too much because this isn't certainly the first movie that's dealt with poor accents. But when your lead isn't very convincing in using her accent, it's kind of just like either work around that or just cast someone else. And I think the solution here for me is just work around it. Use the Hunt for Red October approach. We know that Sean Connery is not fucking Soviet. We know that his Russian is terrible. So in that movie, they use a very deliberate, device to say that, look, we know it's Sean Connery. We know he doesn't actually speak Russian. So he's going to speak Russian for a couple minutes, and then it's just going to slowly transition to him sounding exactly like Sean Connery does when he speaks English. We as an audience can know that he's speaking Russian, but we don't need to see him poorly speak Russian for an entire movie or speak with a hammy, Rocky and Bullwinkle fucking, Boris and Natasha accent. We don't need, just you can avoid the issue entirely instead of just making it something that is going to be the easiest. That's the easiest punching bag for this movie for me right away is, like, if you can't even get that right, you're already starting off on pretty poor ground. But again, beyond that, I do agree that it's an overlong movie. Absolutely. There's no reason for this to be almost 2.5 hours long. There's no reason for it. And that's really because there's just nothing that generates excitement in this movie. Atomic Blonde, I would say, is actually...
it's constant.
It's similar to this movie in terms of it's got probably a needlessly convoluted plot, certainly, a female lead, spy genre, that it all kind of falls into that same trappings. But at least Atomic Blonde had punchy sequences to kind of break up the monotony that it could have fallen into. This one doesn't have that. It's just continually boring throughout the entire movie, and that's criminal for a movie, is to be boring.
It's 2.5 hours of I mean, there's no sort of there's no sort of flair or anything. And that's something that Atomic Blonde had a lot of.
Well, that's what I mean, is that,
flair.
certainly in terms of its action, I think that's where Atomic Blonde really kind of shined. It certainly wasn't because it had the most novel storyline, but it had strong sequences that kind of punctuated, the talky bits. You had a great turn from Charlize Theron in the lead. And this one, it just doesn't hit the mark on really anything that it sets out to accomplish, I think. Interestingly enough, I know I was one of the many people that I saw the trailer and I'm like, great, they're beating Marvel to the punch. Now we're getting our Black Widow movie, and it's not even about Black Widow. And it's not that at all. It's actually not that at all. And that's good in the sense that I think that, Marvel needs to get their shit together and put out a Black Widow movie. But it's bad in the sense that it's just a boring movie, and it just doesn't really do one thing particularly well. And I don't know that it does anything particularly poorly.
I think it did. I think it did one thing, and I don't know if it belongs in the non-spoilers or not.
We'll hold that thought then, and maybe just get into it in spoilers. But for me, this wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It might be the worst movie I've seen this year, but it's been it's been basically 2 months since the movie, since the years began. So that doesn't exactly say anything. I don't anticipate this being the worst of the year that I'll see. Let me put it as that. I think this is just a very forgettable movie that, come this time next week, if you had to ask me about anything about the movie, I would say I can confirm that it is a movie. Yeah. I think it exists.
Those were actually my words when the credits started rolling. I was like, well, that was a movie.
Yeah. That's just kind of the reaction I think that it kind of gets. I know, it's, I don't know. It's interesting. It's very tonally similar, I would actually say, to The Girl with Dragon Tattoo. But again, it's just one of those things like that was a really stylishly shot movie with a far more interesting storyline with, I would say, certainly characters there that are just far more well realized. And I think that's I guess maybe if I had to point to really one thing where this movie, I think that it really just kind of shit the bed, is that none of its characters work for me.
No.
I think the performances are good, minus the accents, which I think that's across the board. Was Jeremy Irons even fucking trying in this movie?
He's the Sean Connery you were talking about.
Right, but
motherfucker, he's not speaking Russian.
He was like, that was the most British sounding Russian I've ever seen in my life, or ever heard in my life, I guess. But I thought Jennifer Lawrence is good. I thought her performance is good. And for me, Jennifer Lawrence is an actress that she's another Natalie Portman in some ways, where you can tell when she gives a shit and you can tell when she doesn't give a shit. And let me just say that X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse are movies where she does not give a shit. And I thought that she I think that she was pretty earnest with her performance here.
She wasn't given a lot, though.
No, I agree with that. And I'll touch on that in spoilers myself. But I thought that as a lead, she was fairly charismatic as much as she could be. And I liked her. I thought she had I think with a different script, I think she could have been really good in this role. And I think that she was good. She just wasn't. She wasn't capable of elevating the material, certainly. And no one was. Joel Edgerton, I thought, was perfectly serviceable. I thought he was fine. I thought, again, his character was just kind of a stupidly written character. Mary Louise Parker, she was in it for that. She had a little fun little bit in there. I don't have an issue with the cast. I just think that none of it really added up to anything particularly noteworthy. And I don't know that I'm disappointed. I don't know that I had a ton of expectations walking in, I would say, but it definitely fell flat, I think, in a lot of ways for me. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I know, you didn't have a whole lot of thoughts, but has that sparked anything? Anything you want to tack onto that?
Yeah. I feel like, I think that the main character there, J. Law's character, I think, nobody had a lot to go on. It felt like, I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say. Like it's just actively. It's like you know that you're stuck in the mud, and you just keep spinning your tires. You just keep spinning them, and there's no I don't know. Just never went anywhere. It never really did anything exciting. It was very boring. I thought that the characters were. I thought a lot of the characters, like, don't get me wrong, spy tropes and stuff. They're convoluted things, right? They're self-indulgent and this, that, and the other, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. Like Atomic Blonde, I really liked Atomic Blonde. But this was, it's like they thought they really had something, so they wanted to stretch it all out, and it felt very flat. Like I don't know. Like I wanted to get up and walk around during the fucking movie. I was bored to fucking death. And even when things did happen, when there was excitement on the screen, like it came out of it happened in such a way to where I was like, what the fuck is going on? I literally said it out loud at one point. What the fuck is going on in this movie? You know what I mean? Because it's just like you have this melodramatic tone throughout the whole thing. It's all just cold and Russian. I mean, I think Russian's probably a good way to describe it, which I don't know if I'm doing a disservice. If we have any Russian listeners, I apologize for that.
We didn't have any on our country statistics, so
it's just cold and dreary. The whole thing is, right? And which is fine if that's what you're going for and you got a good movie, but the whole thing is just cold and dreary and there's nothing really to it. It's very lifeless. And then when something does happen, it comes way the fuck out of left field and it's just tonally different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it kind of, it is a little all over the place because it has those Dragon Tattoo-esque, just brutal sequences in it, and I don't know. I don't know that it wasn't shocking to me. I guess it just didn't feel warranted. It didn't feel like, it didn't build to anything. Like it felt like it was 2 hours of just building to something, and then that it was just over. And it was, I don't even know that it was building. It just felt like, here's just a bunch of pieces on the board. We're not going to utilize them in any interesting way. Things are just going to happen. We're going to watch it. The movie is over. It just, it just was. It wasn't. I don't know. Yeah.
It was just a very lackluster movie that didn't bring anything really to the table. Like there's, I see where like the emboldened strong female character could have been a compelling thing. Like it could have been more than what it was. Like Atomic Blonde was a very emboldened movie. You know what I mean? Like they were going for something and they achieved it. But I just feel like it wasn't here with this. The main character was not compelling at all. And I felt like her strong points weren't like, I don't feel like I don't know, but like her growth as a character didn't really land with me.
No, I 100% agree with that, and I'll expand upon that when we get into spoilers.
Yeah, we need probably to bump into the spoilers.
Okay, well, let's before we get into spoilers, recommendation. What would you say for this one?
I wouldn't say that it's bad enough to where somebody needs to pay you to watch it. It's not that bad. Mm-hmm. I know I'm harping on it like I actively hate this movie. I was just very actively bored with this movie. And another reason I'm a little upset is my Movie Pass did not let me into this movie. It said it was a fucking premiere Showtime. So I actually had to pay to watch this movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Apparently, I looked it up and AMC is actively combating Movie Pass. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it or not. I don't know. But certain showtimes for other movies were present, but this one was a premiere Showtime. So I don't know what's up with that. It pissed me off. So maybe that's why I feel as pointed as I do towards it, because I actually had to pay to be actively bored to tears. So I certainly don't recommend you watch it in theaters. I wouldn't recommend you buy it. I wouldn't recommend you spend any money on it, really. I don't think it's worth any money. But if you do have it on the Netflix, I mean, and you want to see what we're complaining about, it's probably worth streaming. You could stream it and probably be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think certainly waiting for Netflix or streaming services is the way to go. I think Jennifer Lawrence has a pretty big fan base, so if you're interested in kind of seeing what she she puts into this. Maybe it's worth it from that standpoint, but it's not anything that you need to rush out and see. It's certainly not anything you need to spend your own money on outside of what you're already spending on whatever streaming service you're invested into. But I think we can get into spoilers then. I think we were both kind of talking about this. The whole evolution for Dominica is fucking stupid, right?
Yeah, so she goes to Sparrow's school, because her leg got stomped on by some douchebag. And that was okay, she's going into the school, right? And throughout the movie, the pedigree and the pedigree of the girls or not the girls, because there's men and stuff that go into the school as well, but the students that of the school, the alumni of the Sparrow School, are regarded across the world about being these like super spies. You know what I mean?
Right, and the people that go in there are all like fucking military and they have some sort of actual training and background that would qualify them to become like fucking crazy good agents for the state. She doesn't have any of that.
No. And so she goes into the school, and the school is referenced before, or not really before, but at least after, consecutively, for what feels like 7 hours, it's referenced, right? But she was in the school for like 15 minutes.
Which in the universe is 3 months, which also in universe is a very short time to be in that school. And any school is it's a very short time to be in. I don't go to fucking college for 3 months and I'm fucking ready to go. I'm on top of the world. Like, it's not how it works.
Right. And then she's pulled out of the school, and then she's super fucking spy for the rest of the movie. Right? And it's just like, she's not, what the fuck did she learn in the school? Because she had one badass scene she beat the fuck out of that dude, and then she fucking called him out, which was pretty gratifying. I enjoyed that. I'm not gonna lie. But she didn't. I don't see the growth of anything. You know what I mean?
She was unqualified when she walked in. I don't really know what she learned walking out of there. That I just certainly not enough to warrant the payoff I think that you get by the end of the movie. Because the whole movie, it obviously sets up her uncle, Uncle Putin, as they basically portrayed him as. I mean, dude, they basically made him look exactly like Putin. That had to have been intentional. I don't think that was subtle in the slightest. But
Uncle Putin,
I just don't buy the whole story of it. I think there's a version of this movie where her character feels like her background, she's a ballerina that doesn't have any sort of training or really exposure to anything along these lines. I think if you at least built into a backstory where you could conceivably say that, okay, she's had a shitty life, maybe she has reasons for rebelling against her home country, or she's doing it for her mother, as she does in this movie. There are ways to legitimately convey that even if she's in that school for a period of 3 months, she already had a lot of skills to build off of. And I don't think that you have that base to work from. Like, I understand. I mean, for me, I just wasn't surprised by her basically immediately being a turncoat, because that seemed like the most obvious thing that she could have done in her situation. Because Uncle Putin was such a comically evil villain, for her to kind of work against. Like, I feel like it tried to go for shades of gray. We're like, oh, is she, isn't she? And I'm like, I never got that. Why in the fuck would she be loyal to anyone? She doesn't do anything right at Sparrow School. You sent me to horse school. It's like, like there's no stakes, I think, for really me, other than, is she going to get away with it? Because I at least for me, I never interpreted it as her, I never interpreted it as she had loyalty, and then, the American CIA converts her. Like, it was just like she was an opportunist, but she was forced into a situation that she was wholly unqualified for. And, you could have worked within that, but the way that kind of falls out from there, where, I mean, everything just falls into place just so nicely. I mean, okay, she has to play along and, torture, CIA for a minute or two, but it all just feels a bit too happy, a bit too convenient for what I think that it could have been. And it's something for me that works against the tone of the movie, where it tries to feel very real. It tries to feel, dark and brutal at times, but it just feels incongruous with kind of how the storyline plays out. And like I said, it's just not anything against Jennifer Lawrence. I think she does fine with what she's given. It just feels like this character's motivations are all over the place. Her backstory just isn't really something that makes sense for the storyline that we got written. Like it's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy written by dummies.
Yeah, that's what it's. It was just I don't know, man. I didn't actively enjoy watching this movie. And the things that, like the chick got hit by the bus. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Or when the dude starts shaving the skin off the other guy, it's like, and they start slashing each other to death. It's, where the fuck is this coming from? Because it's just, up until those points where things do happen, the whole thing is just so, the whole time. I don't know. It's just, I just didn't care for this movie. I know I keep going back to that, and I don't have a whole lot to tell you why I disliked it, other than nothing fucking happens for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's overlong. I don't even know that it's not really convoluted. I wouldn't say. I think it's
a very simple spy movie.
I think that probably could have been benefit with some shades of subtlety, with something, it just kind of beats you over the head with a lot of it. And you're right. I think I probably enjoyed it in the moment more than I think you did. I think that I probably liked it more than you did overall, but
I enjoyed certain parts.
When it comes down to it, I just don't think that it was a very strong, cohesive product. And I don't know. I mean, product actually kind of feels kind of like the right word to use. It doesn't feel like a work of art. It doesn't feel like
it's a manufactured fucking movie.
Yeah, it feels manufactured. It feels like a manufactured product. Designed to, use elements of the spy genre, but it doesn't know how to use them effectively. It doesn't really know how to bring it all together.
What it kind of felt like to me?
What's that?
And this might come off a little bit edgy. I don't know.
Oh, edgelord. Okay.
You have an incredibly strong. You got an incredibly strong piece that came out. I think it probably came out later in the year. It had to have come out later in the year. I know it did. But you got a movie like Atomic Blonde that came out last year, right? And it was
August.
Yeah, and it was an awesome movie about a strong female role. And it's like somebody just kind of tried to take it out of a template and put it over here in this movie. You know what I mean? And then not only take those concepts and everything that are present in that movie, but bring them over here in this template and make it easier for people to understand what's going on. So they try to sledgehammer it, and then
it's a watered down version of Atomic Blonde that does everything worse, has less exciting sequences, and it's just not as well handled. I mean, is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, and it's like the executives needed to produce this movie just to kind of put another one out there, and it's
the Guinness of movies.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. The Guinness of fucking movies. It's a little tasteless. It's a little watered down.
In a pinch, look, you could probably do worse. All right, but if you've got choices on the table, you should not be ordering fucking Guinness. All right, like I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's a fair analogy. Man.
Well, I think that covers it.
That covers it, yeah.
There's not much else to add. Wait for Netflix. I mean, if you're interested, I'm not going to say like wait with bated breath for this to come out on Netflix, but if it's something that you seem interested in, like I said, if you like Jennifer Lawrence, maybe give it a look. But I mean, you've got plenty of other options to watch Atomic Blonde before you watch this.
If you like Jennifer Lawrence, watch Mother. That's my opinion of it. If you want to watch her in a good movie, watch Mother.
That's fair. I mean, it's a very different movie, but it does have Jennifer Lawrence in it, so...
She acts pretty well in that movie.
Yeah, no, she's good in that. No, I agree. But that's certainly it's understand that you're walking in with the caveat that it's an Aronofsky film. So
you want to watch something that's actually deep and handles.
Exactly. All right. You wanted to. Well, I want you to tell me about the animated movies you've been watching.
So I've watched a couple of different anime movies. I've been diving hard into the animes.
Well, you went on a big Studio Ghibli buying spree, right?
I did, and I haven't purchased them all, but I intend to because they, so far, they tend to be pretty ridiculously well-made movies. Which ones did I talk about last week?
You talked about Howl's Moving Castle, and I don't know if you mentioned
Spirited Away.
Yeah, Spirited Away. That's it. That's the one. Those are the two.
Okay, so I know that when I started talking about those movies, I was I was not in a very cognizant state of mind. So I watched those two movies, and then I proceeded to buy a bunch of other movies. And Howl's Moving Castle was awesome. The soundtrack was awesome. Spirited Away was incredibly well crafted, and it's a really well animated film. And so I ended up buying those other movies, and so far I watched, I'm going to butcher the name, but I believe it's called Princess Mononoke, Mononoke, something like that.
You eventually got pretty close. Mononoke, yeah.
Mononoke, yes. So I watched that, and that is so far out of the movies that I've watched by them, that one's my favorite.
Oh, okay.
It didn't hit me in the feels like the other two did. But as far as just the overall, just the story in general, that one's my favorite. It's an awesome movie. Very good. I also picked up. I need to watch. Which one is it? I intend to watch tonight. Shit, I can't remember what it is. Oh. I believe it's called Nausicaa Valley of the Wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the older ones, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that one tonight. And then I have a newer one called Princess Kaguya.
Okay.
That one I know, if I'm not mistaken, I think that one has like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. I'm really excited to watch that one. But that one, the art's a little bit different. It looks like old traditional Japanese art. But I also watched one this week that was not Studio Ghibli. It's called Wolf Children.
Okay, yeah, no, I've it's been on my Amazon shopping list for a while. I haven't actually pulled the trigger on it, though.
Let me tell you something about that movie.
All right.
We both watched Your Name, and Your Name, last 15 minutes or so, hit you in the gut hard, and I don't know about you, but I was left kind of sobbing for like 15 minutes, like a bitch. I don't know, I kind of cried a lot. This movie, Wolf Children, it's different. It's not a boom punch in the gut. It's like a constant jab in your face. And like, I had multiple tears at the end of Your Name. Wolf Children, I had single tears throughout the movie. Like, it's just consistently it's such a touching story, dude. It's so good. Such a good movie. And I don't know why these animated movies are hitting me as hard as they are, but god damn, they're hitting me hard.
They're just fucking good movies, man.
They are really good movies.
Again, starts and ends with making a good fucking movie. It doesn't matter what medium it is, make a good fucking movie.
Such a touching story, though. Wolf Children's so good, and they do it in such a way that there's so many parallels to, like, yeah, there's these kids that turn into wolves. You know what I mean? Which is like, yeah, that sounds pretty ridiculous. It sounds fucking crazy. I mean, I don't understand how you can connect to something like that. But the parallels to like just normal parenthood, which I don't know a whole lot about, and just the struggle of life in general, they're portrayed so well in these movies, man. They're so fucking good. Anyways, so that's my little bit on the animes. I'm still diving deep. I'm still buying them. And I'll keep everyone informed as I continue to watch them.
Very good.
But so far, my favorite Studio Ghibli movie is Princess Mononoke.
All right. Well, that's high praise.
What have you been doing?
I spent a lot of time with our episode on Annihilation. That was a slog. I was really happy with our episode, although we definitely got very rambly in parts, I will say. But no, it seemed like that was nothing but technical issue after technical issue that I ran into. But we got it up. I was really happy with the numbers that we got for our listeners. I mean, it's been up, as of recording this, it's been up for a day, and I've been very happy with the listenership on that. So thank you guys, for listening to that and being patient with us as we kind of had to delay that a lot more.
I feel like I was really drunk when I recorded that. I hope that it turned out okay. I don't know my.
No, yes, you were definitely drunk. I can confirm, but no, I mean it was interesting. I mean, it's a movie that we only had a really surface level reading on, and but I thought we had a pretty good discussion. That it went off base here and there, but it was interesting.
Overall, we covered some interesting shit because there was a lot of interesting shit to cover.
No, I think it was a good episode, but okay. I mean, I was going to say, dealing with that and really kind of getting that out for our listeners actually ate up a lot more time than I wanted. So I haven't been up to a whole lot, but what I have been up to is I did finish The Gifted on Fox. That's the other X-Men TV show that it finished up, I guess, probably a couple months ago at this point. I thought it was pretty good. It's no Legion. It's certainly no Legion. I don't think it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. level either, which is back, by the way, and I haven't watched, but its 100th episode is coming up later this week, and it's supposed to be a pretty amazing one, at least certainly a big one, so maybe we'll talk about it next week. But The Gifted, it's... I think I've talked about it. I think I might have talked about it when I watched the first couple of episodes, however many episodes ago that was, probably a while at this point. But it's a 13-episode series, and it's relatively self-contained. It basically takes place in a, mutants are known in the world. The X-Men and the Brotherhood have fought each other, and there was this big event that basically the government of the United States said, fuck mutants, and basically... they're kind of hunted, and so they're forced into this mutant underground, and the X-Men have disappeared. So we see a few kind of mutants from the comic books, Thunderbird, Polaris, couple others. And, it's just kind of about this family, the Von Strucker family, who there's kids, they're twins, they realize that they're mutants, and so they have to go on the run. And their dad has been part of like the force that's been prosecuting mutants since they've enacted that legislation. So, as with usual X-Men stuff, it kind of hits a lot on pretty obvious modern-day parallels. But I think it does in a pretty, it doesn't feel super heavy-handed with a lot of it like it could. But I was impressed with a lot of it. I think that the middle episodes kind of felt very samey, but once it kind of got going, once it kind of started, really getting to the finish line, I was actually really impressed with where it went in terms of how far it went with the plot line, and pretty solid cast all the way throughout. And like I said, I was pretty happy with it, and I know they've announced that a season 2 is coming, and it's one that I will be back for a season 2 on it. So I'm not going to recommend you go out. I don't think it's a Legion type thing, but I think that you could certainly do far worse for superhero shows on TV or comic book shows. I did it again. This one's definitely a superhero show though. But no, I was happy with what I watched, and I thought the 13 episode length was good too. And I was happy when it because it kind of seemed like it runs that toes that line of we got to dance around the fact that we can't actually use a lot of the big X-Men characters, but we can sort of reference them, because like Polaris is the daughter of Magneto in the comics, and they allude to that, but they can't have Magneto on the show. I was like, fucking just put Magneto on the show, if you can. But she's got the same powers, basically. She can manipulate metal, so... Right. That's kind of frustrating, but when it does kind of touch on certain things from the comics, like the Von... I for the longest time, I'm like, why the fuck are they making a show about the Von Struckers? Like, what a bizarre choice. But then they actually went into the comic book history of the Von Strucker family, and I'm like, oh, okay, they are doing something with this. That's neat. I was happy to see that, and it just took too long, I think, to get to that point. But once it did, I was happy with it. So, yeah, it's a good one. It's a solid one, at least. That's really it, though. I am hoping to start reading Abaddon's Gate by James S.A. Corey. That is the third book in the Expanse series. I'm going to try to read that before season 3 starts up in April, because I've enjoyed having kind of like when season 2 came out, I had already read Caliban's War, so it was kind of really cool to see things get adapted to the screen, because I usually work the other way around. I usually watch something and I'm like, that's cool, let me go back to the source material and see how that is, and usually it's pretty rewarding from that standpoint. But it is kind of fun to take that ink to film model and take a dive into the source material and then really kind of see how it gets adapted. And it's nice because the TV series has been pretty close to the books, and they've done a really fun job of kind of adapting all of it. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to get into. Hopefully sometime this week. I'm a slow reader, so I don't expect to have a whole lot of update on that front. But that's kind of my goal. And I'd also like to start or at least catch up. I read part of it a while back, but I'd like to catch up on the Ta-Nehisi Coates and Brian Stelfree's Black Panther comic book run, the current comic book run that they're doing right now. I think I read the first arc or two, kind of when it came out, I want to say 2016, and I really enjoyed that, but I've been behind on that for way too long, and I'm still feeling the Black Panther craze, so I think it's as good as time any to give it another go.
Absolutely.
But that's it for me. So, I kind of touched on it a little bit already, but thank you guys for listening. Again, apologies for that delay with the Annihilation episode. We're trying as hard as we can, to work around our regular schedules and other issues that we run into to get these things out on a pretty semi-regular basis. I understand we're not the most consistent with our scheduling, but bear with us. Let's just say. But for those of you who are sticking around and hanging out and listening to us yap on for entirely too long week to week, thank you for that. If you would like to help us out, help us cover our costs, you can head over to watchreviewrepeat.com/premium or patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. And that's just a platform for you to basically, chip in a couple bucks on a monthly basis, and you get some cool content in return. You're going to get bonus episodes. Our first one on the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 1 is up. We're going to be recording the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 2 episode shortly, within the next couple of weeks, so that will be up there soon, and we'll obviously let you guys know when that's available. But it's just one of those things. We don't make any money from this. It's just a way for us to give you guys an option to help us out if you feel so inclined. So we're not telling you to do it. We're just saying it would be awesome for you guys to do it. But as always, you're going to have the free content to look forward to every week. That's the whole idea behind podcasting. So we're not trying to jeopardize that. We're giving you guys an option and something that, it's a less intrusive way instead of maybe putting ads or something in here. It's an easy way for you guys to help us out. So check us out.
And as a little bonus, Phase 2 is fixing to come out to our Patreon listeners, so we're gonna record that probably in a couple of weeks, and you'll have the first access to that. So,
did you just walk away for like 2 minutes?
No, I was here. I was listening.
Okay, I literally just said that.
Oh well, my mind may have turned off. I may have zoned out.
Okay. I was like, what is he trying to, what are you going for? I literally just said all those things. You can visit our website at www.watchreviewrepeat.com. You got access to all of our episodes. Got a look at what we're going to be recording over the next couple of weeks. Got a live feed from our Twitter of all the news that we push out to you guys. So definitely worth a look over there. Follow us on Facebook, or like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at WRRPod. Send us any questions, comments, suggestions to our Gmail at watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And next week, we are going to be covering Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. We'll see how it is, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. So I guess that's it, right?
That's it, man. Everybody have a good night.